going to Great Britain's international squad is out. I call Great Britain the international squad in this case because for those of you guys who don't know, and I made a short video addressing this earlier this week, is that for the Olympics, Great Britain's got a really unique situation because they get to combine the countries of England, Scotland, and Wales. I made the mistake of saying Northern Ireland earlier this week. I apologize for that. That's not the case. It's just England, Scotland, and Wales. So normally where you would see England, Scotland, and Wales be separate teams in the World Cup, they're actually under one banner for the Olympics, which makes for a really interesting roster because instead of choosing from one country, you're choosing from three, which can make kind of a super team if England, Scotland, and Wales are all really good at football, and they all are. So this is the roster that ended up getting produced. And this, I want to be clear on this, this is the Great Britain Olympic roster. This isn't just the June roster, this is the Great Britain Olympic roster and it includes goalkeepers Karen Bardsley and Ellie Roebuck, defenders Millie Bright, Lucy Bronze, Rachel Daly, Steph Houghton, Demi Stokes, and Leah Williamson, midfielders Sophie Ingle, Kim Little, Jill Scott, Kira Walsh, and Caroline Weir. In the forward line, Lauren Hemp, Georgia Stanway, Nikita Paris, Georgia Stanway, and Ellen White. I just realized I said Georgia Stanway twice. I apologize for that. But then we've got in our reserve Sandy McIver, Lot Woobenmoy, Neem Charles, and Ella Toon. So, really quick before I give my overall thoughts on the roster, I want to preface it with this. I myself am not a Great Britain or England or Scotland or Wales women's national team fan. I am more of a WOSO fan and US women's national team fan first in general. So I just want to be clear on that. So my knowledge in the area of these three countries in terms of WOSO isn't as extensive as it is with the US, so I want to temper my arguments and my thoughts with that overall. So if you guys want to join on the conversation, I'm happy to learn more. But anyways, my overall thoughts on the squad. Obviously, it's a very talented, star-studded squad. I'm super pumped to see Ella Toon even as a reserve player in the squad. I think Ella Toon is going to have a phenomenal career because she's still super young. I believe she's only 21, 20 maybe even as young as 19 if I'm not mistaken. But she had a fantastic season with Man United. She led them both in goals and assists, and was also second in appearances, only behind Millie Turner, who had 27, which Millie Turner basically appeared in every single game all season long. She is the Iron Woman of the squad, and she's a great defender, too. But Ella Toon's the future for England, and I think she's going to have an illustrious career and a lot of awards to put on her mantle by everything's said and done. And I think that by her being included in such a prestigious squad like Great Britain, where you're competing against the squads of three different countries, I think other coaches and other great football minds feel the same way. So I'm really pumped to see what Ella Toon's going to do in the future. Obviously, she won't really be playing much in the Olympics this summer, but this is a great stepping stone for her going forward. So really exciting stuff. The other impression that I had from the roster is I think that there were some pieces of talent that were left off of the squad. I think where a lot of Great Britain's fans or England's fans' minds naturally go to is Alex Greenwood and Jordan Nobbs. I can't really speak to Alex Greenwood too much because I don't know a ton about her other than that she is very talented, but I couldn't get into the intricacies as to why she might have been left off of the roster. However, I did find some numbers concerning Jordan Nobbs and exploring why she might have been left off of the roster. The natural, I think, comparison that fans might go for is okay, if you include Jordan Nobbs, which midfielder do you leave off? And I think a lot of people's minds went to Jill Scott, and I think rightfully so. The reason being is I don't think Jill Scott didn't have a bad season this year. She was on loan at Everton for most of it, but she didn't have a bad season, but I don't think she really excelled this year. And I don't believe she really performed as well as Jordan Nobbs did. And in order to kind of supplement that argument, I'm just going to throw some numbers at you guys. So stick with me here for just a second. In the 2020-2021 season, Jill Scott made 21 appearances across Manchester City and Everton, and she scored 3 goals and 1 assist. That translated to 0.22 goals per 90 minutes and 0.07 assists per 90 minutes. Now, we compare that with Jordan Nobbs. Jordan Nobbs made 5 fewer appearances, so that's 16. However, she produced 2 more goals, that's 5 goals, and 3 more assists, that's 4 assists. Combining that all, we get 0.43 goals per 90 minutes for Jordan Nobbs and also 0.34 assists per 90 minutes for Jordan Nobbs as well. So her numbers would suggest those are just bare bones numbers, mind you, but just in terms of production, it would seem that Jordan Nobbs had a much more productive season with Arsenal did, and Arsenal finished very well than Jill Scott ended up having with Everton and Manchester City. So I think it leaves a lot of people scratching their heads as to why Jordan Nobbs was left off. Both players have, I'd say, really awesome experience with the English side, so experience isn't really a question of it, at least in my mind. I know Jill Scott's been around for a little while longer, but with those numbers on the surface, I could see why a lot of fans of England would be very puzzled at the fact that Jordan Nobbs was left off of the list and Jill Scott was included. It doesn't really make a whole ton of sense on the surface. I don't know if there is some nuance in there because, like I said, I am not an England fan personally, but I don't know if there's some subtle nuance in there that I'm missing that would make sense for Jill Scott to be included and Jordan Nobbs not to be included. But I don't see it personally, so I think Jordan Nobbs kind of got snubbed and being left off of the roster for England, and which is a huge bummer. And especially when you've got competitions like the Olympics and World Cups that only come around for so often, it makes the heartbreak even worse, especially even when you bring Alex Greenwood into that conversation too. So I feel gutted for those players. I'm really pumped for Jill Scott. Like I said, I want to be clear here. I don't think Jill Scott's a bad player at all. I just think that I find it surprising that Great Britain included her over other players that I think had more productive seasons. So, regardless, I hope Jill Scott and Great Britain do well this competition. Just not better than the U.S. because that's my main team, of course. But it's just some overall thoughts and impressions I had on the roster. Other than the fact too that the roster is mainly dominated by Manchester City and England players as well. I found that kind of interesting. Not really a whole ton of surprises out of the three teams. You just gotta out of the three international sides, you just gotta pick the best talent, and I think most of that talent does lie in England. So there you have it. If you guys are curious where I got the stats for Jill Scott and Jordan Nobbs, I went to footystats.org for those stats. That's FOOTYSTATS.org. I'll link that down in the description below, and I'll probably even include a little image somewhere on either side of me in the video, so you guys can get those stats and get all caught up with that. So, what do you guys make of the Great Britain roster? Are you excited for Great Britain? Is there subtle nuance I'm missing in my argument with Jill Scott and Jordan Nobbs when it comes to the England squad or even the Great Britain squad? Or are there players that were snubbed that should have been on the roster? Whatever you guys think, jump down in the comments below and let me know whatever your thoughts are.